So what do you do about the thing that when you have a trem that you can push down like this? I say, right? Because all my trems are set up in that way. 2-point tremolos. I'm not too crazy about the Floyd Rose idea because it's just such a huge thing down here. But when you're playing a Floyd Rose, this challenge is extra important because when you then lean your hand or rest your hand on the tremolo or the whammy bar or the system down here, then you can go slightly out of tune. Right? It doesn't take much, especially on a Floyd Rose type trem, to bring it out of tune. But it's the same thing with, if you look in the back, this is Scalloped, this guitar here. I never actually played this guitar. So it's a project that I didn't finish, but it's a scalloped guitar, and that means that I've carved out the woods in between the frets. So you're basically walking the fret wire when you're playing, which is a really nice experience. It doesn't mean that much to your playing, so I stopped doing it because, I like my guitars, and it's a little bit hard to repair when, it just doesn't last forever. So I did it to a bunch of Squires. So when you do that, then when you push the string in towards the fretboard, if you push very lightly, it doesn't go out of tune. But because you have so much space underneath the string, you can easily go, hear that? I can do that. This is jumbo fret, so I can do that as well. And I push very hard. It goes slightly out of tune. On a scalloped guitar, though, if you have too much force when you pick the string or you fret the string, then it will go a lot out of tune. So playing a guitar like that will actually make you have a less push on the string, which is really cool. So you easen up the pressure naturally because you get punished. It sounds out of tune when you don't have that. So that's a really great, unless you're not that sensitive to playing, out of tune. If you're very sensitive to it, you're naturally going to easen up the pressure and you use less force, less energy, and you can play for longer. So that's a cool thing. The same thing goes for the trem. That just put it where you can really get the most out of it. So you can, I can go in both directions, right? So, and you can lock it so it doesn't go up, right? Back here, you can put in, a wedge so it doesn't move in that direction. But you could also just say, I want that effect. I want to be able to go, right? So what you do is that you stop putting so much pressure on your trem and you just insist on playing with it until you got it right. I would say for most people, it happens naturally and automatically if you just insist on playing with a trem that floats, meaning it can go in both directions, right? So if you play that enough and you are a bit, very sensitive about whether or not you play out of tune, then you're going to notice that. And the brain, or you, is going to try to get away from the out of tune experience, and then you can easen up the pressure. I always say I put my PC bone where the low E string meets the bridge, but it's kind of just sitting there. It's not pushing at the trem, not at all. So, and in general, you don't want to use more force than you need to when you play guitar, because why would you do that? That's just bad finances, right? So that's going to happen naturally. So I really warmly recommend that you set your trem so you get the most out of it, so it can move both up and down. And then you simply, just take the fact that you're going to play a little bit out of tune sometimes because you're going to learn not to by actually having the trem set up in that way. Hope that makes sense. My name is Claus Levin, guitarmastery.net. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment if you have any experience in this area. And then I hope to see you in the next video.